But now let's switch gears a little bit, guys, and talk about a big weekend for the USMNT players in the Premier League. I mean, it was a really good weekend for the Leeds United players in particular. Tyler Adams, man of the match, voted for by Leeds fans. Brenden Aaronson got his first goal in the Premier League and was brilliant in their 3-0 win against Chelsea. Andy, I want to come to you. What were you thinking when you saw those two American players playing so well for Leeds United against Chelsea in that incredible atmosphere at Elland Road? That was, and coached by Jesse Marsh, obviously an American as well. That was quite the moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was cool to see, but more than anything, I was just thankful for Tyler Adams backing up everything that we've ever said about him on this show, because we have been a very, very pro Tyler Adams show with regards to the U.S. men's national team, the importance that he has to that team, the way that he controls things defensively and starts the counterattacks going forward. We saw a true Tyler Adams performance against Chelsea in that game, and it's exactly why Jesse Marsh, I'm sure, was very adamant that this is a player that I need for this team. If I'm going to be given what I need to play the way that I want to, then I need a Tyler Adams in my team. He's had him at New York Red Bulls. He had him at Salzburg. And he had him again at Leipzig. He had Aaronson at Salzburg. And so the familiarity of some of those players that I think that he has, I think gives him a little bit of comfort. And I think the understanding, the previous understanding of the way that he wants to play, I think is why those two have started so brightly for this team. I think the biggest thing for Leeds, though, to continue this momentum going forward, especially with the two U.S. men's national team players, is going to be health, because Aaronson has had some injuries in his career already. Adams has had quite a few injuries that have kept him out of the team, back in, back out of the team. And so if he can keep them fresh, he can keep them fit without having to deal with, European competition the way that they both had to do at their previous clubs, I think will help them individually just a little bit more and to add more to the collective that is Leeds United. But it was so exciting to see those two new American players come in and have the impact on not just a Premier League game, but a big Premier League game. Yeah. The atmosphere that was there inside of Elland Road, going up against Chelsea. We'd just seen what Chelsea did against Tottenham the week before, and boom, it didn't matter to them.
It was brilliant. And Nick, obviously everyone get your questions in on USMNT players here in the Premier League, from the brilliant Aaronson and Adams show to obviously situation regarding Christian Pulisic. Is he going to stay at Chelsea? Is he going to go? We'll talk about that as well. But Nick, how important is it that Jesse Marsh gets off to a great start this season at Leeds United? That's huge for him, isn't it?
Oh, it is. And I think when you've got as much fire as he brings to everything, you need success to go with it, because it's not a hairdryer treatment. The guy's just a ball of energy. You saw the way he celebrated that first goal against Chelsea because his plan was coming together. But I think when you're a guy like Marsh, when you're a guy like, Antonio Conte is a little bit of a different story because he's had so much success. But that personality, you can start to turn off players if it's not going in your direction. And think about the players they have around there. There was a really good chance for rebirth. And one thing I'll point to as something impressive for me is Calvin Phillips goes. They've had some mainstays go. Rafinha goes. Rodrigo responding to getting the armband. 4 goals to lead the Premier League so far. I think there have been some really good moves there from Jesse Marsh. He's pushed the right buttons, but we've seen how quickly it can fall apart. We can just point to an American, right? If you have a team that's substandard and it doesn't deliver within 10 games or 11 games, you can be Bob Bradley and out of a job at Swansea. So, and we've seen a million managers. So that's not a shot at Bob. We've seen a million managers wash out after 10 to 15 games. So I think it's a really, really good situation to come out well, winning, scoring, defending, and getting performances out of new players.
It certainly was fun to see and see the reaction, the Major League Soccer, Leeds United States of America, the Yorkshire Yanks, all these kind of things flying out there. So let's get to some of your questions here on USMNT. This is, there's some coming in here, but Andy, in terms of, Zach Taylor, this is more of a comment. Pulisic should leave. I think he could seriously realise his potential in a different environment where he isn't overshadowed by similar players. Do we agree with that, Andy Edwards? What do we think about Pulisic's situation? Because the latest reports say that he could come here, but apparently that isn't on the cards anymore because Chelsea are like, hang on a minute, our forwards aren't playing great, so we'll probably keep you around. Sorry, Christian.
We as a collective, the three of us have not talked about this. Does anybody here want that? Because I don't. I do not want that, because I think, one, if we're talking about overshadowed by similar players and being redundant as a player, he would be even more redundant at Manchester United, where we just saw Marcus Rashford on the left wing have a really, really strong game. What you want to talk about, he can play on the right side. We just saw Jadon Sancho have a really, really strong game. These are both players that I think, one, for the fact they're established at United a little bit at least, and two, just their profile. I think they would overshadow him as well. So I don't know that Manchester United is maybe the right answer. I'm coming around, especially after what we saw from Newcastle against Manchester City on the weekend. I'm very, very much coming around on the idea of him going there, because the way that they play, I think, would fit him really, really well. It would obviously give them depth with St. Max. It would give them a very different look to anything that I think they have right now. We talked about that last week, whether right now, before the transfer deadline would be the time, or in January after the World Cup, because uprooting everything is it's not as easy as people, I think, tend to think it is. You don't just, and I get reminded this every summer. We see the videos of new signings meeting all of their new teammates for the first time, and it's that awkward kind of dap each other up, hug each other. I know who you are because I know your name as a player, but I don't know you. And it's just really weird. And to think about doing that 20, 30, 40, 50 times with all your new teammates, all your new staff and everything at a point like that, it's really difficult to then just go out on the field and immediately hit the ground running and be the very best version of yourself. And that's exactly what the U.S. needs from Pulisic at the World Cup.
Hey, before we talk about the World Cup team, Stanley Phillips has got a really good question here. Do we think the American Leeds players will stay there if they have a good year?
Yes.
Do they see it? It's a good stepping stone in some ways, but it's a huge club, and it's just, I don't think they've even scratched the surface of the potential of them being back in the Premier League, right?
Yeah, they stayed together in the Red Bull family to play for Marsch, arguably, whether that be at Leipzig or Salzburg. I mean, these guys are following him. I actually think there's a little bit of FIFA manager mode here to the fact that I still don't believe that they went over with him, that Marsch said, hey, here are the guys in the market. They're both American guys. I know he went all in. Credit to Jesse Marsch here to embrace this with both hands. I think they'll both stay not as long as he's there, but for next year, provided he's there as well. And Leeds is a huge club. I mean, how many clubs have had movies made about them? I know it was more about Brian Clough, but Leeds is a absolutely huge club.
It is huge. I want to finish with some comments to see what people think. But I mean, Brenden Aaronson, is he a guaranteed starter for the US at the World Cup? Because we're looking at Pulisic, Reina. Obviously, a lot of the forwards are scoring right now. So I'm intrigued to see what people think in the comments. But what do we think? I mean, I don't want to say this, but is he actually starting over Christian Pulisic right now? I mean, it's going to be controversial, but I don't know. The kid's good.
He was
the great thing is
too.
Yeah, the great thing is the World Cup's not right now, so we don't have to actually answer this at the moment. We've got a few more months of evidence and a body of work for these players to put together. But I definitely think that it's, we talk about who's the most important or the best player for the U.S. men's national team. I think the way that Aaronson applies himself defensively as well is just different to any other attacker, certainly any other attacker in the U.S. men's national team pool, because, I mean, he made his goal for himself. That was a ball back to Edouard Mendy. He doesn't really have any business chasing that down, but he did, and look at the payoff that he got. And so I think if you're talking about how the team functions best from the start of a game and gets you to the 60-minute mark, and then potentially, a player like Pulisic to come into the game and attacking wise really change things. It's good to have options. It's really good to be Greg Berhalter right now, I think.
It is. You agree with that, Nick?
Yeah, the way that Aaronson tucked inside a lot. I mean, at times he looked like a number 10 out there, and that allows Christian Pulisic to stay wide. I think Gio Reyna's the odd man out. You can't count on him to be fit right now. I think Reyna's World Cup is going to be a busy one, but we're looking at him more as I hate saying this, but he's like, I expect him to hit his prime on home soil. Aaronson's looked really impressive. Of course, anybody can dip out of form. The end of September is going to be a huge window for this team and for these guys. I mean, Jordan Pivac's going to have to take his chance to take that center forward role. Timothy Weah is going to have to show where he's at. I think Pulisic's the man, but I just keep looking at that World Cup schedule. That first game is huge. If you blow it by playing guys who can't hack it or letting them play their way out of a spot, make that England game a must win. gee whiz. I mean, you have to win that first game. So you have to know what you're doing by the end of September and start sending tactical plans out there. You have to know what you're doing now. But, the center forward spot is in question.
I feel like this isn't the last time we're going to talk about England against the USA between now and November. Oh, wow. Okay, so quickly to round up the other US players playing well. Obviously, Tim Ream and Anthony Robinson. Fulham had a great start to life back in the Premier League. Got that big win against Brentford at the weekend. Chris Richards coming off the bench late for Palace. He'll work his way into that system, I think, and have plenty of opportunities. Matt Turner behind Aaron Ramsdale, but he knew that going into the season, and I think he'll play a lot in the League Cup, Europa League coming up. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. But over at Pro Soccer Talk and NBCSports.com, we'll keep you updated with all the latest USMNT news. Nick has his player pool rankings. I have my weekly update on how these US players are doing in the Premier League. And as we said, Adams and Aaronson are leading the charge, and that was wonderful to see at Leeds United. He's got that big win against Chelsea, and those two were absolutely key for Jesse Marsh, the Wisconsin native, of course. Another American to shoehorn him in there. That was, a really, really nice moment to see for us.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. For even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you over there.